Hi. So, in today's video, I'll be telling you about lost friends. So, that's another section of my book, Piglet. It's a section entitled Portraits of Insane. So if that's something for you, then stay tuned and off we go. Um, okay, so I'm sorry. So it starts with Natalia Sikorska, my friend from kindergarten. So in kindergarten, I remember we just wanted badly to go to the same class in primary school, and we told our teacher that we wanted so bad. It didn't work out. So Natalia went to a different class in a primary school, and we stopped being best friends. And then in a primary school, I used to like, supposedly, because I didn't build the connection with that girl ever. I used to supposedly like Dagmara and Kinga. So I remember we spent time, running around the city, like being very young girls and just going to places till 8 or 9 p.m. in the evening. And I remember that they started to, just laugh at something, and they would laugh, and I didn't. so basically, it was for me. It was just acted out that they are the best friends, and I somehow didn't belong with them, although I was just right by their side. Um, and then um, I used to sit in the same desk with Agnieszka, and that was just for the 6 years, because in middle school, she chose a different middle school, not the one that all of us went to. So I had a friend from the same desk for 6 years. And in middle school, I liked Monica and Kashka, but they just, they just acted out the same what Dagmara and Kinga did. So with time, they started to just laugh at something, and I was as if, outside of it. Or we would meet. Just once, I had the pleasure to visit Monica, and we had a really weird activity with cars where we would just send cars. We were in the middle of school. We had to be 12, 13, 14. Yeah. Girls like that don't play with cars, do they? So basically, they just sat there laughing, and I just, there was objectively nothing to laugh about. So it was the same with Kinga and Dagmara, that, you could just join a conversation or something, but there was no conversation. There was objectively nothing to laugh about. So, and, in middle school, supposedly I like Kaka. So when we were students, she introduced me to her friend from studies, and they just acted out the same. They were talking and talking, and I was outside of it. So, it was like, oh, maybe we just grew out of the relationship, and maybe we have no longer anything to talk about. But it was just acted out yet again in the same way. When I started to study French philology, then I liked a boy who sat with me in the same desk. So after a month or 2 months, but I don't think I stayed there longer than 2 months. But I think after 1 month he resigned from studies. Then when I started to study English philology in a high state vocational school, then the girl I sat next to just resigned, and I also liked her. And then when I started to study in Krakow, doing my MA, then yet again, I had a boy who sat next to me. I liked him, and he stopped studying. Yeah, and I also noticed that, my sister or my niece, even my cousin experienced the same thing, that they had a friend and they lost a friend. And um, yeah, maybe I will tell you one more longer story about having a friend. So with my cousin, she had her best friend Bashka, and we met also uh, her cousin Natalia. And I remember we had like 2 weeks of fun together, but slowly they just worked on it in various ways to just break that 2 weeks of fun. And the girls would talk about the boy they called Devil, and um, they would say that he was great and he was gorgeous when he was not, and I didn't kind of believe it. But when we had the New Year's Eve party, he was dancing with me and he was very close and he was hugging me, and then 1 minute later I saw him hugging Natalia and sitting by the table with Natalia. So I wasn't that really, either sorry or jealous, because she would always emphasize that she just adored him and she found him, gorgeous. So I didn't bother, um, you know. But there were other situations, like one time girls were preparing for the party with boys and we were supposed to meet all of us together, but me and Natalia, we were left by Pashka's house, and we were just sitting and waiting to be collected because we were told we would come back for you girls and we would pick you up. But they never did. So we went to my aunt's house, and by the door, we could just hear girls gossiping about Natalia, that she made up stories about nuns, about the police. She probably did, but it wasn't nice to hear it over the closed door. So we went back to Bashka's house, and we were waiting for them to pick us up. Nobody picked us up, and I got yelled for staying too long, not knowing where my house was, and so on. For the very first time, my aunt yelled at me. But I think the most disappointing thing was the fact that my cousin could just not admit the fact that she asked me to wait and she never picked me up because that was the deal. Um, so that was a very weird situation for me when we had a deal, just, just we'll come and pick you up, girls, and we'll have a party together. And sometimes they would just, tell me that, I wasn't going at the party, but I still had my cousins and I still was, happy. Um, yeah, so things like that. I think they were just things that, scenarios that were designed, on purpose so that we would sit and think, oh, I'm not going to the party with boys. Um, yeah. So, oh my, I have to somehow include Johnny Bravo's story later on. I'm just thinking out loud. So basically, Piglet and Amelia are on sale, and the price is growing $1 every day. So if you want to have a better deal, you better check it out right now. And um, you'll find all the information in the description of the film. You'll find it on my Facebook, Instagram accounts. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.